You've probably heard of dopamine detoxes. Sit in a dark room. Don't look at your phone. No music, no food, no fun. Just you and your thoughts for 24 hours straight. Here's the problem. That's not how your brain actually works. Real dopamine rewiring isn't about monk mode deprivation, it's about strategic recalibration. And according to neuroscience research on neuroplasticity, you can start seeing measurable changes in just 3 days. Not 3 weeks, not 3 months, 3 days. Most people are walking around with a dysregulated reward system and don't even realize it. Everything feels like effort. Nothing feels satisfying. You need coffee, music, and scrolling just to function. But what if I told you there's a faster, science-backed way to reset your dopamine baseline without locking yourself in a sensory deprivation chamber? Look, we're living in a dopamine arms race. Tech companies have spent billions engineering apps to trigger reward spikes every few seconds. Notification pings, autoplay, infinite scroll, pull to refresh. Your brain wasn't designed for this level of stimulation. And here's what that looks like in real life. You can't focus on work without background music or a podcast. Reading a book for 20 minutes feels impossible. Conversations feel boring. You scroll for 3 hours and feel nothing. Studies from Stanford's neuroscience department show that chronic dopamine overstimulation actually lowers your baseline. The amount of dopamine circulating when you're not being stimulated. When your baseline crashes, everything requires effort, and nothing feels rewarding. I've worked with hundreds of people stuck in this cycle. High performers who can't sit still, students who need stimulants just to study, people who've forgotten what genuine satisfaction feels like. Here's the truth. Dopamine isn't your enemy. An overstimulated, dependency-driven reward system is, and you can fix it faster than you think. So let's break down what's actually happening in your brain. There are 2 problems destroying your reward system right now. First, desensitization. This is when your dopamine receptors get so hammered with stimulation that they become numb. You need bigger and bigger hits just to feel normal. It's like turning up the volume on a song until your ears adjust, then you can't hear anything at lower levels. Second, baseline depletion. Your dopamine baseline is the amount circulating when you're not doing anything stimulating. When that crashes, you feel chronically unmotivated. Everything, even things you used to enjoy, feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Most people think they just need more discipline, more willpower. Wake up earlier, try harder. Wrong. What you actually need is receptor sensitivity. Think about it. You scroll TikTok for 3 hours and feel emptier than when you started. You need coffee, music, and notifications just to answer emails. A 10-minute conversation feels painfully slow compared to rapid-fire content. Here's the hidden cost nobody talks about. When your dopamine baseline tanks, your brain interprets everything as low priority. Work feels like torture. Hobbies feel boring. Rest feels wasteful. You're not lazy. You're neurochemically depleted. Now here's where most people get it completely wrong. They go extreme. Delete all social media. No phone. No TV. No music. Sit in a room and stare at the wall for 24 hours. And you know what happens. They make it through the detox, feel proud for about 3 days, and then binge harder than before. Back to square one. Why? Because complete deprivation creates rebound dependency. Your brain doesn't learn regulation, it just survives starvation, and then gorges when food reappears. Most detoxes treat the symptom by removing everything. Real rewiring rebuilds your baseline through strategic contrast. Here's what neuroscience actually shows. The problem isn't dopamine itself. It's the massive spikes without recovery time. Your receptors need waves, not flat lines. Zero stimulation approaches ignore how neuroplasticity actually works. Your brain needs signal variation to recalibrate, not sensory deprivation. And here's the psychological trap. People white-knuckle through 30-day challenges, suffer through the withdrawal, hit their goal, and immediately return to old patterns because they never learned to recalibrate their reward threshold. They never trained their brain to find satisfaction in lower-intensity activities. Deprivation doesn't teach your dopamine system anything. Strategic recalibration does. So let's talk about what actually works. Alright, here's the protocol that actually works. 3 days, 3 strategic phases. Day 1 is spike elimination. Remove the nuclear dopamine hits. Social media, junk food, pornography, video games, short-form content, anything engineered to hijack your reward system. But, and this is critical, you replace them with moderate reward activities. Go for a walk, cook a real meal, read physical books, have face-to-face conversations. These still trigger dopamine, just at sustainable levels. Why? You're not starving your brain. You're teaching it that satisfaction exists outside of supernormal stimuli. Day 2 is baseline. Building. Now introduce friction. Want to check something online? Use your laptop, not your phone. Want music? Play an instrument instead of streaming. Want entertainment? Choose something that requires attention, not passive scrolling. Simultaneously, amplify natural rewards through anticipation. Plan your meals. Set a goal for your walk. Delay gratification by 10 minutes before doing something enjoyable. Why? Friction rebuilds the gap between desire and reward. That gap is where dopamine sensitivity lives. Day 3 is recalibration testing. Reintroduce controlled stimulation. 1 episode of a show, 20 minutes of social media, 1 coffee instead of 3. Then measure. Can you focus on a single task for 25 minutes without distraction? Does a conversation hold your attention? Do simple activities, stretching, cleaning, cooking feel satisfying instead of boring? If yes, your receptors are recovering. This isn't deprivation, it's strategic contrast. You're restoring your brain's ability to feel rewarded by normal life. Imagine this. You sit down with a book and actually get lost in it. A conversation feels engaging, not draining. Your work excites you instead of requiring caffeine and willpower just to begin. That's what a reset dopamine baseline feels like, and you're 3 days away from it. Start the protocol tomorrow. Track your focus. Notice what feels satisfying again. If you want more science-backed strategies for optimizing your brain and performance, subscribe now. Next video, I'm breaking down how to maintain dopamine health long-term without relapsing into overstimulation. Your brain can rewire faster than you think, but only if you start.